morning on the deaths of Fast and Furious star Paul Walker and his friend killed in a fiery car accident.
Paul Walker wasn't just the star of Fast and Furious. He was the heart of it. Off-screen, he was a real car guy, a loving father, and someone who lived life in the fast lane but stayed humble. After his tragic death in 2013, fans were devastated. But what truly shocked everyone came afterward, when people discovered what was inside his private garage. Dozens of ultra-rare cars, personal items, and pieces of his life that most of the world had never seen. It wasn't just a collection. It was a window into who he really was. In this video, we're diving into what they found, why it mattered, and how Paul's legacy still inspires millions. So stick around, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. You're about to see a side of Paul Walker you've never seen before. Honestly, the stuff they found wasn't just shocking, it was kind of beautiful in a weird, sad way. You know, Paul Walker wasn't just the guy from Fast and Furious. His real life was actually just as interesting, maybe even more. He grew up in a Mormon family, but as he got older, he started exploring his own beliefs and became a non-denominational Christian. He wasn't really flashy or into the Hollywood lifestyle. He lived quietly in Santa Barbara, surrounded by his dogs. He liked the simple things. Paul had a daughter named Meadow, with his childhood friend Rebecca Soteros. For most of her early life, Meadow lived in Hawaii with her mom. But in 2011, she moved to California to live with Paul. And that was a big deal for him. He loved being a dad more than anything. He once said it was the best thing he ever did. Oh, and fun fact, Vin Diesel, his co-star and one of his best friends, is actually Meadow's godfather. Speaking of friendships, Paul was really close with Tyrese Gibson too. The three of them, Paul, Vin, and Tyrese, they weren't just acting like family in the movies, they were close in real life too. Now, outside of acting, Paul was really into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He trained for years and earned a brown belt before he passed. His coach even gave him a black belt after his death, which shows how dedicated he was. But what really set him apart was his heart. After the earthquake in Haiti in 2010, Paul started a charity called Reach Out Worldwide with his friend Roger Rodas. They didn't just raise money, they actually went into disaster zones and helped people themselves. Paul was always jumping in to help. No cameras, no fame, just doing the right thing. And get this, Paul always loved the ocean. He wanted to be a marine biologist before he got into acting. In 2010, he got to live out that dream when he joined a team tagging great white sharks off the coast of Mexico for a show on National Geographic. They spent 11 days at sea, tracking the sharks, gathering info to help scientists learn more about them. Paul was right there, hands-on, loving every second. Of course, cars were a huge part of his life, too. He didn't just act like a car guy, he was one. He raced in real-life competitions, drove a BMW E92 M3 for a team called AE Performance, and owned a car shop with Roger. He even kept the Nissan Skyline GT-RR 34 he drove in Too Fast Too Furious. It was one of his favorites. Did you know Paul Walker had this insane car collection? Like, seriously, most people have no idea. He wasn't just into cars because of Fast and Furious. He was a legit car guy off-screen too. He had over 30 rare and classic cars stashed in a private warehouse, just sitting there. We're talking super rare BMWs, like the M1, and those lightweight E36s, plus multiple Nissan Skylines. Yeah, actual R34s, fully legal and built to drive. He also had Ferraris, Ford GTs, a Saleen S7, even some limited edition Mustangs. And the craziest part? He never really showed them off. No flashy Instagram posts, No big deal made about it. The cars were just there because he loved them. It wasn't about attention, it was about passion. Honestly, it makes you see him in a whole different light. He really lived that car life. He was just leaving a charity event and never came home. So, November 30th, 2013. That's a date a lot of us will never forget. It was around 3:30 in the afternoon, and Paul Walker had just wrapped up a charity event for Reach Out Worldwide, his own organization helping victims of Typhoon Haiyan. He wasn't just showing face at some fundraiser, he was really involved. That day, he was there, shaking hands, talking to people, doing what he always did, giving back. After the event, Paul and his friend Roger Rodas, who was also his business partner and a professional racer, decided to take a quick ride. It happened so fast. According to the forensics, both Paul and Roger were likely knocked unconscious on impact. Roger died instantly. Paul passed away seconds later from a combination of trauma and burns. The fire was so intense, their bodies were burned beyond recognition. It was shocking. One moment, Paul was at a charity event trying to help others, and the next, he was gone. And I think that's what hit so many people so hard. It wasn't just that we lost an actor we grew up watching. It was the way it happened. It felt sudden, surreal, and painfully unfair. He lived fast, yeah, but he lived with purpose. And that day, that ride, wasn't about thrill-seeking. It was just two friends leaving an event. A short drive. That's all. But here's where things take a turn. Just 24 hours after he passed away, and I mean, not even a full day, some of those cars disappeared. No one broke in. There wasn't some big heist. It was all done quietly, almost like someone was trying to cover their tracks. Turns out, someone who had access to the warehouse moved a bunch of the cars without telling the family. Nothing was said. Nothing explained. It wasn't until years later that the whole thing ended up in court, when Paul's estate filed a lawsuit. And honestly, the whole situation felt like something straight out of a Fast and Furious plot twist. Mysterious moves, hidden motives, missing cars, the kind of stuff you'd expect in a movie, not real life. But here's the part that really stuck with me. When they finally got into the warehouse, it wasn't just the cars that told Paul's story. It was the little things. There were photos of his family, handwritten notes, random little toys lying around, the kind a dad would keep close for his daughter. Things he'd left for Meadow. It hit different. That garage wasn't just a collection. It was his space, a mix of speed, memory, and heart. You could feel who he was just by being in that room. Later, some of the cars were sold off at auction. But this wasn't some cash grab. Part of the money went to his foundation, Reach Out Worldwide. Because that was Paul. Yeah, he loved fast cars. But he also loved helping people. He'd show up for disaster relief missions. He cared, like really cared. So when people found out what was in that garage, they weren't just shocked by the price tags. They were moved by how personal it all was. It reminded everyone that Paul Walker wasn't just a movie star or a car guy. He was a dad, a friend, a humble, passionate dude with a huge heart. And honestly, that's the legacy that hits the hardest. The lawsuits no one talks about. After Paul Walker's tragic death in 2013, the heartbreak didn't end with the crash. It continued in the courtroom. It all started in 2014, when Paul's father filed a lawsuit against the estate of Roger Rodas, the man driving the car. He claimed Paul and Roger co-owned a valuable collection of cars, and he wanted either those cars returned or a fair share of their value. Then, in 2016, Paul's daughter Meadow received a $10.1 million settlement from Rodas's estate. But she didn't stop there. Meadow also sued Porsche, arguing that the Carrera GT her father died in had dangerous design flaws. She claimed it was unstable and that the seatbelt placement made the crash even worse. Porsche denied everything, saying Paul understood the risks of driving such a powerful car. Still, both Meadow and Paul's father later reached private settlements with the company. Meanwhile, Rodas's wife, Christine, also sued Porsche, but a judge ruled against her, saying the company wasn't responsible. In the end, the lawsuits weren't just about money. They were about a grieving family searching for answers and trying to find peace after an unimaginable loss. Paul Walker's legacy wasn't just about fast cars. It was about heart, family, and helping others. If this story moved you, go ahead and like, share, or subscribe. And if you want to carry on what Paul started, check out Reach Out Worldwide. His mission still lives on. Thanks for watching. Stay kind and live with purpose.